2 counties in the state had maintained their indoor mask mandates until today. Los Angeles has updated its masking mandates, lowering restrictions as hospitalizations plummet. Los Angeles County began easing its mask mandates for indoor settings. As of Friday, people who have received jabs can unmask indoors. The county listed restaurants, bars, and other businesses as safe to unmask if people show proof of receiving jabs. The county continues to mandate other customers to continue to wear masks. The county's change comes after both cases and hospitalizations related to the CCP virus, also known as COVID-19, dropped significantly. LA County lagged behind the rest of the state in easing its lockdown restrictions. Santa Clara County is the only one which still requires universal indoor masking. Los Angeles' housing program has more problems than it does progress, according to a recent report. The report found costs are too high and improvement is too slow.
A report from the Los Angeles City Controller found that problems overshadow the progress of a housing program from 2016. The $1.2 billion program, titled Proposition HHH, aimed to build 10,000 housing units for homeless individuals. Controller Ron Galperin said in a Wednesday report that the project is moving too slow to address homelessness in the city. The program has completed over 1,100 units, about 16% of the intended number, in 6 years. Galperin said, "The costs are too high and the pace is too slow to address the tragedy on our streets." He said the costs per unit is now around $600,000, up from $530,000 2 years ago. Galperin added that over half of the units will not be ready for occupancy for another 2 to 4 years. On top of that, construction is too slow. Los Angeles saw a 40% increase in the homeless population from 2016 to 2020. The city controller recommended several methods to increase efficiency, like repurposing existing buildings rather than building new ones. He warned if the city doesn't learn from its mistakes, it risks repeating them. On the same day, LA Mayor Eric Garcetti said that the proposition is producing more units than promised at a lower cost than expected. The 2022 homeless count is now underway, and results are expected in the coming months.
2 United States Postal Service workers recently pleaded guilty to unemployment fraud. The 2 Angelenos are now facing home detention and monetary restitution.
A former United States Postal Service clerk pleaded guilty on February 24th to committing unemployment benefits fraud. Armand Lagarde, 33, of Inglewood, California, obtained 9 State Employment Development Department or EDD debit cards from unidentified people. The cards were issued for unemployment insurance benefits between August 2020 and February 2021, according to the U.S. Attorney's Office. Lagarde now faces 3 years of probation, 1 year of home detention, and is ordered to pay over $160,000 in restitution. Defense attorney Megan Blanco said Mr. Lagarde understood that the checks were likely fraudulent and that they were returned after being delivered to fake or non-existent addresses. Just down the road at another USPS office, Christian James, 32, pleaded guilty to a similar charge. According to the California District Attorney's Office, James used at least 8 EDD debit cards in other people's names last year. He has been sentenced to probation and ordered to pay $142,000 in restitution.
Recent poll asked California voters to grade public schools' performance. Residents' confidence in public education has taken a big hit after pandemic lockdowns.
According to a new study, faith in California quality of public education overwhelmingly dropped in the wake of pandemic lockdowns. The UC Berkeley Institute of Governmental Studies, along with the Los Angeles Times, polled voters to grade schools from A to F. 21% of voters gave the state's public schools either an A or B. 28% gave a D or an F. The change in failing grades is a stark contrast to 10 years ago. A similar poll had only 13% of voters giving failing grades in 2011. 72% of voters said the quality of education has declined since pandemic lockdowns. The poll indicated a wider sense of distrust and dissatisfaction. Additionally, voters were also divided along party lines for teachers' unions. 1/2 of voters said unions were too powerful, resist reforms that would improve schools, and prioritize teachers over students. The other half said the unions strive to help teachers. Voters were also close to evenly split on supporting or opposing standardized testing.
A new bill would increase requirements for testing drivers who are fatally injured in crashes for drug use. The senator who proposed the bill said it would help law enforcement better understand recreational drug use.
Law enforcement would be required to test for drug use after a fatal vehicle collision under a newly proposed California bill. Senator Patricia Bates, representing Laguna Niguel, proposed Senate Bill 925 after a large number of fatally injured drivers tested positive for substances after crashes. In a February 23rd statement, Bates said it is becoming increasingly common for drivers involved in fatal collisions to be under the influence of drugs or alcohol. She said last year that over half of the fatally injured drivers in Orange County had at least one substance in their system and that current laws only test for alcohol. She said, testing for drugs in fatal collisions allows us to more accurately understand the modern use of prescription and recreational drugs. The testing time would also extend from 24 hours to 48 hours. If a driver dies within 48 hours of a traffic incident, then they would be tested for substances. The bill is sponsored by the Orange County Sheriff's Department. Sheriff Don Barnes said the expanded testing can provide valuable information to lawmakers. Currently, Orange and San Francisco are the only two counties that screen for drugs in victims of fatal collisions.
At Vandenberg Space Force Base, SpaceX successfully launched 50 more Starlink satellites into orbit using its reusable Falcon 9 rocket. The launch comes after most of the previous delivery was lost due to solar activity. NTD's Jason Blair has more.
3, 2, 1, and liftoff of Falcon 9, Starlink 4-11.
On Friday morning, SpaceX launched a Falcon 9 rocket carrying 50 more satellites for the company's Starlink internet service. Shortly after 9 a.m., a webcast showed the launch from Vandenberg Space Force Base. About an hour later, the satellites can be seen being deployed into space. Each satellite has its own thrusters that will be used over the coming weeks to position themselves into their operational orbits. This is Starlink's 8th launch this year and comes a couple weeks after the company lost 40 satellites to a geomagnetic storm. Starlink is an internet provider that brings service to underserved areas across the globe using a constellation of low Earth orbit satellites. The SpaceX-operated company currently has almost 2,000 satellites orbiting 340 miles above the Earth. Jason Blair, NTD News, California.
A famous organ is back home after nearly 10 years of repairs. The instrument is one of the largest in the world, and it has finally returned to a cathedral in Orange County.
The Hazel Wright organ was disassembled piece by piece in 2013 and removed from Christ Cathedral in Southern California's Orange County. From there, it was shipped to Italy for repair. At the time, the 5th largest pipe organ in the world was suffering from a bug infestation, and still worse, its pipes were melted and trumpets corroded.
This organ went under renovations for about 5 to 10 years. Most of it was shipped all the way back to Italy, which is really cool. So the original Italians who built the thing actually went through and restored each pipe.
Nearly a decade and $3 million later, Hazel was back in the fully remodeled sanctuary.
What every organist dreams of is an instrument that's as big and exciting as this, but also as beautiful and intimate as this instrument can get. So in terms of serving the Catholic liturgy, that means you can accompany one single singer or lead the whole congregation in some wonderful hymn.
Its rehabilitation has been an arduous process. After extensive work at the factory in Italy, the pieces were shipped back to Orange County.
You really can get the full surround sound effect in this, which is really unique to this space. You get surround sound organ here.
Piero Ruffati originally built Hazel, and in late 2019 returned for the reinstallation. In its current iteration, the organ has some 17,000 pipes and 293 ranks. It's the largest pipe organ in a Roman Catholic cathedral in the Western Hemisphere. Andrew Thomas, NTD News.
A nice ripe strawberry is a deep shade of sweet red, right? But have you heard of white strawberries? These imported strawberries are so popular that shops can't keep up with demand. We normally see red strawberries in the US, but some locals have been wanting to try white strawberries, but they've been sold out. The Awayuki strawberry is a premium white strawberry, highly prized for its aroma, flavor, appearance, and texture. And at the local Nijia market in Northern California, it sold out about an hour after the store opened.
Yeah, I came here about 2 weeks ago, and I came at noon and they opened at 9, but they were all sold out already of the strawberries, so they told me to come back today, so I'm back here trying to get some more strawberries. So.
A pack of 11 strawberries would cost you nearly $28. That's over $2 per berry.
Thank you very much. I don't want this one. I didn't realize how expensive they were. I'm only gonna get one. I don't know if someone wants that one.
I thought, you know, maybe this one time, because it's not a common thing. It's only here like once or twice, I think, a year.
And the red Amayo strawberry is popular in Japan. It is sweeter than regular strawberries in America. How do you think it would taste?
I think it's just gonna taste like heavenly and super sweet.
She told NTD she's seen them with a price tag of $40 elsewhere.
So I love the idea of strawberries and I love strawberry flavored things, but I've never liked actual strawberries here in the US because they're so bitter and sour at times. So when I found out about these and like how sweet they are, I just really wanted to try them.
The store assistant told NTD the white strawberries are from Tamina in Kumamoto Prefecture in Kyushu area of Japan. Even though she's from Japan, she said she has never tried them herself.
I'm hoping more sweet than our normal strawberries we get here. Really juicy, I'm going for. And I'm really excited. My wife's going to be happy when I wake her up right now to say I got her some white strawberries.
According to strawberryplants.org, a website about growing strawberries, a protein allows the berries to turn red as they mature. White strawberries tend to be deficient or completely lack this protein, so they don't have the ability to turn red. Yeah, so it's really sweet and definitely has a nice scent to it as well. So these Awayuki strawberries get their unique color due to restricting sunlight during its growing process. And in Japan, they can be served with condensed milk while eating. Now, the manager with the Nijia market told us that they're expecting another shipment as early as this weekend. David Lamb, NTD News, California.